Welcome back to the Deep Dive, where we take your source material and distill it into, well, pure insight.
And today we are diving into a career that it's less a chapter and more an entire glorious and, let's be honest, reckless volume of football history.
We're talking about Sergio Ramos Garcia, and the numbers, they almost defy logic. 16 years at Real Madrid, 22 major trophies, and 26 red cards.
Right, and that combination, that mix of immense silverware and world record ill discipline is exactly why this deep dive is so necessary.
So what's our mission here?
I think our mission is to go beyond the headlines and really analyze that contentious question that sort of bubbles under his legacy. Is Sergio Ramos the greatest defender of all time?
That's a huge question.
It is. We need to dissect your sources, which cover everything from his unique stats to his infamous disciplinary patterns, and of course his incredible ability to just produce magic when the lights were brightest.
It sounds like a debate between, positional purity versus sheer historical impact.
Exactly. That's the perfect way to frame it.
Okay, so let's unpack this, and let's start at the beginning. Ramos was born in Camas, a small town near Seville. And what immediately jumped out in the source material is that he wasn't supposed to be a footballer at first. His passion was bullfighting.
Yeah, the Fiesta Brava.
Yeah.
And you know, that detail is actually crucial for understanding his personality.
How so?
That aggressive, fearless, almost theatrical style. It was innate. It was always part of who he was.
So what changed?
Well, thankfully for football fans, and maybe for his personal safety, his older brother René saw the talent and convinced him to, switch the arena for the academy.
And he started young.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Started at CF at 6 and then moved to the famous Sevilla Academy at age 7.
What's fascinating to me, though, is where he started playing. We think of him as this quintessential center back, but your notes show he was actually a striker in his youth.
He was. Primarily because he had this powerful shooting instinct. He just had a hunger for goals.
An attacking mindset from the very beginning.
No question. But by the time he made his professional debut for Sevilla in 2004 at just 17 years old, his position was already evolving.
You preferred right back then, right?
He did, but his coaches saw that his tenacity, his height, his tactical awareness were just better used at the heart of the defense. And that transition from a goal-hungry striker to a goal-hungry center back, that is the key to his entire career.
And that rise was just blindingly fast. Real Madrid signed him in 2005 for 27 million euros.
Which at the time made him the most expensive teenage footballer in history.
And this was during the Galactico era, which makes it even more surprising.
Well, that's the context that makes it so monumental. Yeah. Florentino Perez's whole strategy was about signing global attacking superstars. Zidane's, Figo's, Beckham's.
Right.
Ramos was the only Spanish player Perez signed during that entire tenure.
Wow.
He was brought in to be the defensive steel, the Spanish backbone, for a team that, frankly, desperately needed some structure.
That's a huge vote of confidence. And then they hand him the number 4 jersey.
Worn by Fernando Hierro, his idol. So the pressure was immediate and immense.
But he handled it.
The torch was passed to a teenager, and he was told to command the defense of the most scrutinized club in the world. And he did it.
So let's transition straight into maybe the most unique aspect of his game, the prolific goal scoring.
It just defies his position.
He was a defender, but his offensive stats are they're unbelievable.
I mean, look, he made 671 appearances for Real Madrid. That's the 4th most all-time for the club and more than any other player this century. But here's the stat that makes your jaw drop.
Go on.
111 goals for the club.
111. For a center back, that ranks him 19th on Real Madrid's all-time scoring list.
You're just 3 goals behind Ronaldo Nazario.
The legendary striker, a 2-time Ballon d'Or winner. It's insane.
And it wasn't just a flash in the pan. Your sources highlight this absurd consistency. He's actually tied with Lionel Messi for scoring in the most consecutive La Liga seasons. A staggering 17 successive campaigns.
So that consistency raises a tactical question for me. I mean, why is a defender scoring 111 goals not just a bonus, but a fundamental tactical weapon?
Because it completely warps the opposition's strategy on set pieces.
Ah.
Ramos's output wasn't a fluke, it was engineered. His renown as an aerial threat started right away. His very first Real Madrid goal was a header from a corner.
So opposing managers have to account for him specifically.
Exactly. They had to dedicate 1, sometimes 2, of their best defenders just to track Ramos on attacking corners, and that creates space for everyone else.
It's an asymmetric threat.
Totally. And then the evolution didn't stop there. When Cristiano Ronaldo left, Ramos inherited the penalty duties.
Hmm.
And this is where his nerve just also it really shone. He specialized in the panenka.
Okay, for listeners who might not be familiar with penalty jargon, what is a panenka?
It's the ultimate high-risk, high-reward penalty. Instead of smashing it into a corner, you softly chip it right down the middle.
Assuming the keeper dives.
It only works if the keeper dives early. It requires ice-cold composure, but it perfectly epitomizes Ramos's confidence and, that theatrical flair.
And his execution was incredible for a long time. The sources say he once converted 25 consecutive penalties for club and country.
Right. That blend of technical quality, aerial dominance, and pure nerve is why his offensive game was genuinely world-class.
So how does that scoring record compare historically?
Well, you have to mention Ronald Koeman, who scored an incredible 253 career goals.
Wow, more than double.
But Koeman played a significant portion of his career in midfield. Ramos was fundamentally a central defender for his entire career. He just proved that positional limitations are only as restrictive as you let them be.
Which sets the stage perfectly for the next part. You can't have that immense light of his goal scoring without acknowledging the shadow.
Indeed.
If that was about his offense, we absolutely have to face the stats that fuel his critics, which is his famously hot-headed approach to defense.
This is where the debate over his greatness really falters for a lot of purists. The rashness, the tactical fouling, the sheer aggression, it's all backed up by these indisputable records for ill discipline.
Okay, let's slow down and let these numbers land. What are we looking at?
The career tally is 30 red cards, a staggering number.
30.
24 of those came at Real Madrid. But look deeper. In La Liga, he holds the record for the most carded player ever, 191 yellows. And he's also the league's most red-carded player, with 20 dismissals.
And this spills over into Europe too, right?
It does. In Champions League, he's the joint most red-carded player ever, with 4, and the most carded player overall with 40 yellows. He consistently played the game on the absolute edge of the rules.
Hold on. If defensive greatness means positional consistency and reliability, how can we possibly argue for him when he was off the pitch almost 30 times?
That's it.
Doesn't that fundamentally undermine his tactical value? That's the crux of the counter-argument, isn't it?
It is the single most compelling piece of evidence against him being the best. If you connect this to the historical picture, the contrast is stark.
How so?
Well, your sources compare Ramos to universally celebrated defensive greats like Paolo Maldini,
A legend.
who allegedly received only 3 career red cards. Franco Baresi had just 2. And then you have these legendary examples like John Charles, who remarkably never even got a single caution in his entire career.
That discrepancy it's more than just a difference in style. It's a whole different philosophy on how defense should be played.
Absolutely. The purest view is that a truly elite defender avoids fouls. He doesn't put his team in jeopardy. Ramos's style was high risk, high reward.
His philosophy seemed to be stop the attack by any means necessary.
Even if it meant a card. Now, sometimes those tactical fouls were necessary, sacrificing himself to stop a counterattack. But a 30-card record that suggests a pattern that goes way beyond just calculated fouls.
It speaks to this inherent chaos that just seemed to follow him. It reminds me of that ridiculous and maybe most memorable off-field anecdote from the 2011 Copa del Rey celebration.
Ah, yes. The chaos and glory always linked.
He's celebrating on top of the team bus, and he accidentally drops the heavy silver cup right under the wheels of the bus,
where it was immediately crushed.
It's a perfect, almost cinematic reflection of his career, isn't it? Total victory followed immediately by total self-inflicted destruction.
That image sums up the glorious, frenetic energy he brought to every single moment, which ultimately brings us back to the core debate. How do we synthesize these conflicting facts?
Well, your source material offers a crucial framework by distinguishing between 2 words, best and greatest. Unpack that difference for us.
Okay, this is the key analytical takeaway. The sources define best as a measure of pure technical talent and sort of faultless performance in a role.
So positional excellence, consistency, no weaknesses.
Exactly. And if you prioritize that, players like Franz Beckenbauer, Paolo Maldini, Alessandro Nesta, defenders, known for their tactical perfection and calm authority, they'd probably be considered superior.
And under that strict technical definition, Ramos's disciplinary record would pretty much exclude him.
Precisely. But then you have the term greatest. And this is a measure that incorporates a broader set of characteristics: aura, influence, longevity, overall team success, and crucially, how often you deliver on the biggest stage.
And by that definition,
By that definition, Ramos arguably belongs among the absolute elite. He was the unwavering, defining player, other than Ronaldo, of course, for a generation of Real Madrid's success.
he didn't just play in high-stakes games. He owned them. The core compliment in the material is that he very rarely froze on the biggest of stages.
He thrived in that environment. And there is one moment that solidified his status as one of the greatest. The moment that created an indelible connection with the Real Madrid identity. La Decima.
The 2014 Champions League final against their city rivals, Atletico Madrid. For those who don't remember, why was this moment so defining?
Real Madrid had been obsessed with winning their 10th European title La Decima for 12 long years. They were trailing 1-0 in the final seconds of stoppage time. It was over.
A heartbreaking defeat was just seconds away.
The game was done. But in the 93rd minute and 48 seconds, Ramos rises highest.
And heads home that iconic equalizer.
That goal wasn't just a goal. It was the ultimate pressure release. It broke the psychological dam, pushed the game into extra time, and Real Madrid went on to win 4-1. That one moment launched an era where they won 4 Champions League titles in 5 seasons.
And that number, 93, became his personal brand, didn't it?
It did. He later chose to wear number 93 when he joined Monterrey, all in homage to the minute of that goal. It shows how deeply he connects his identity to those clutch moments.
And he was man of the match in the 2014 and the 2016 finals against Atletico.
The man for the occasion. And of course, you can't understate the international success. A vital defensive pillar for Spain's golden generation. A World Cup, 2 Euros.
His career is just a testament to sustained performance at the highest level, which brings us to his sheer longevity.
An often overlooked part of his story, amid all the drama.
He left Real Madrid in 2021 after 16 years. But what about his physical status later in his career?
It's remarkable. Even when he was struggling with injuries at the end of his time in Madrid, the medical reports were amazing. When he got to PSG at age 35, their medical staff reportedly compared his physique, his fitness markers, his body composition to that of a 25-year-old.
Wow.
That dedication allowed him to stay effective, winning 2 League One titles there.
And the scoring didn't stop, which shows his output wasn't just a youthful thing.
No, the competitive fire never went out. When he went back to his boyhood club, Sevilla, he broke the record for most goals scored by a defender in Champions League history. 17 goals.
And how did he get that record?
Fittingly, with the Panenka penalty, he was still challenging records at 38.
And then even later, in 2025, moving to Monterrey in Liga MX.
At 39 years and 80 days old, he became the oldest player in history to score in the FIFA Club World Cup. When you just summarize the profile, physically powerful, lightning fast for a center back, technically gifted, an aggressive leader with elite goal-scoring instincts, you have a player who basically rewrote the job description for his position.
So we circle back to the essential debate. We had the unparalleled success, the consistency, the incredible goal scoring, and the record-shattering ill discipline. What is the final synthesis we can offer?
Look, Ramos created indelible, generation-defining moments. He achieved unparalleled success and consistency for 2 decades, becoming a legend for both Real Madrid and Spain. I think the conclusion in your source material is the most insightful one.
Oh, yes.
His legacy proves that you can be truly great, a game-changing, era-defining figure without necessarily having to be the greatest of all time in terms of, faultless positional purity. His legacy is defined by spectacle and success, not just perfection.
That is the perfect distinction. And it raises one final provocative thought for you, the listener, to mull over. The sources mention a common urge in modern football analysis toward hyperbole and having short memories. We love to categorize, we love to crown the GOAT. When you reflect on Sergio Ramos' spectacular, multifaceted career, do you believe this constant need to answer whether he is the absolute greatest defender of all time truly reflects his complex, beautiful, and sometimes chaotic legacy? Or is it merely a product of this modern pressure to categorize and crown every elite athlete instantly? Think about that the next time you see a defender step up in stoppage time.